Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Min, short for minimum, not very tall, from Nobody Studios IdeaLab. And this is our ninth consecutive weekly show where, if you're new to the channel, we talk about all things ideas. And today we have my favorite guest, the second time I've had someone come back, which is always a good thing, right? Hello, hello, Karen.
Hey man, how are you? So glad to
Yeah,
join you.
no, thank you so much. How's it been going with the weather out there? I know it's been pretty tough.
Yeah, so we are in the middle of a construction zone after rehabilitating our home from the hurricane. So, yeah, hopefully you won't hear drilling in the background, but the room's pretty empty because we've yet to move in, but I have good Wi-Fi, so I'm taking advantage of it.
Happy days.
Yeah.
So previously, when you came on the live stream, Karen, you we talked about one of the ideas, supermarket hero, um, super restaurant hero. Sorry, my apologies. And we were planning to go through a number of the ideas, but I think just because of the comments and as we got into the topic, we were before I knew it was like 35 minutes, and it's like right, let's kind of do a pause there and come back for another day. So today we plan to cover one of the other wonderful ideas that you've kindly submitted to the Idea Lab. So let's get straight into it.
Okay, great.
Put it up on the screen, but if you can give us the background the to cultivate, and what was your inspiration for this? It'd be great to kind of hear a little bit more about the background.
Yeah, I don't know about anybody out there, but I have always had a black thumb. I could not grow a plant to save my life.
You know,
And somehow my daughter did not get that gene, and she's just loves plants and she has a house full of them. And so during the pandemic, I was, stuck at home, bored, and I really got I guess, the hankering to grow plants. And I had no clue how I was going to do it. But I happened to run into someone who was in the agriculture, environment, plant type horticulture field. And she recommended an app for me called Planta. And Planta was a great app because it told you how much sunlight a plant had needed, how much misting, water, fertilizer, all the things that make a plant flourish and grow. It tells you when to do that. And so one day, as I was kind of going around my house, I went from 0 plants that I could keep alive to like 25 plants
wow.
uh, in a short few months, and they were all doing great. So one day I was on my Planta app and I was checking off, misting a few, watering some, fertilizing some, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could put a tool in the hands of leaders that told them what their employees needed, based on their strengths and values and personality types, when they might need misting, when they might need more sunlight, when they might need water or fertilizer, all those things that make humans thrive, the human equivalent of what plants need. That could help them because leaders under a tremendous amount of stress to perform, to make their teams perform, to get things accomplished, that even the most empathetic and caring leaders can get so busy that they forget some basic things. And so how about if we could put a tool in the hands of leaders that help them do just that, help their teams thrive for the type of plant or human they are, their personality types and their strengths, and just help them all flourish individually and a team. And so that's where I came up with the idea for Cultivate.
That's wonderful. It's a great analogy. As soon as I read it, it's like, okay, I like this one. For people who might not have dialed in for the first session that we did together, Karen, do you can you just say a few words around your background, because obviously that's super relevant for the leadership side of the idea, and what your background is.
Yeah, I'm a design thinking consultant. And so my expertise or my passion is about designing environments that create win-win, win for the leadership, win for the company, obviously win for the employees and the customers. And so, gosh, anything that's going to help people thrive, which my first idea, Restaurant Superhero, is designed to do. Anything that can help them thrive, show up as their best selves, improve their lives and the lives of their leaders, teams, and customers. That's what I'm all about. And I think you'll see that in my next idea that perhaps we'll talk about in the future. But it's kind of a theme that runs through my life, and perhaps, if you want to say it, it's my purpose in life to help people have the freedom to thrive and live their best life. So
yeah, that's wonderful. And with your experience, and obviously sort of thinking about the workplace, and where individuals might have had help, and sometimes it's like it's a little bit too late, right? Because if you don't get to the your equivalent of the plants, the employees, and they're just stewing, and it's had the sun on them, etc., etc., that usually they then make those terrible decisions potentially to say, well, now it's too late. Where were you when I really sort of needed you? Have you got any examples of where that might have happened, or where you've seen that sort of behavior where someone didn't really get their some help where they should have potentially had it earlier?
Oh, sure. And I don't even think that, obviously there's a lot of toxicity and negative environments happening now. I think the pandemic magnified some of those, but it doesn't even have to be in a negative environment. I'll share an example of my own life. I was very successful in the banking industry for a couple of decades, and I was climbing the ladder and doing really well, but because my leader didn't have a tool like Cultivate, all he did was keep promoting me up the ladder, but I was doing the same thing over and over again. And that was driving me nuts, because I have an innovative and a creative personality. I didn't want to do the same thing over and over again, even if it was at a higher level. I wanted a new challenge, a new problem to solve. I didn't want the same problem to solve at a bigger degree. So, it really is important for leaders to look at what are the strengths, what is the personality types, because you may be thinking you're doing a really good thing by promoting them or giving them this higher responsibility, when in fact you're just driving them crazier at a different level.
Yeah, no, spot on. You're right. It doesn't just have to be like a negative sort of connotation, right?
No.
Everyone can. I always, in my career, my sort of 25-year corporate career, and all of the work I'm doing with startups, if someone sort of reaches out to you and just says, hey, man, that was a really good one, well done, and you just checks in on you, that means, so much. And you think, okay, so, they've got my back, and they're kind of, checking in from time to time. And I think, more and more, and with obviously the pandemic over the last couple of years, it's that human bond that we've kind of missed, and it's really brought it to the fore that this is what we need to
and when it comes to personality types, even just the words you use can be like water to the souls of the individual. In this app, we'll use the Enneagram, which to me embodies the bringing the whole self to the workplace, mind, body, and spirit. It's not just how someone thinks or the things they do. It's really their core desires and their core fears, and how you can help them with that. So even the words you use can be a way that you miss them, noticing the things that really sets their soul on fire. Like if someone tells me, Karen, that was a very strategic idea, or that was a very creative thought, my heart just, it just opens up. For another person, it may be, an Enneagram 2 is a very caring, nurturing personality. So, if you notice that person maybe taking in the new employee and making them feel at home, and you talk to them and say, hey, I really love the way you cared for that new employee, or, that's just going to make their heart just expand, because that you're speaking their language per se. And every personality type is different, that we each have our own language, those things that make us light up when someone notices. And oftentimes, for us, it's no big deal. We go, oh, that's nothing. But that's because it's a strength of yours, a talent. So it comes pretty effortlessly. But when somebody notices, it's really lights you up.
Totally. So we've had the question, and I actually really like this question because it's one of the standard ones that we ask as we go through our various stages of ideation, right? Because, as you know, doing your homework and saying, okay, so I've thought of an idea. Let me go and do some research. Let's see what else is out there, and then thinking about what the USP for, or the angle for a particular idea is. So I don't know if you've already started to kind of look to see what else is out there, Karen. But this question here around, what do you think is unique about Cultivate compared to what you might have seen out there?
Well, to me, the uniqueness is like just like the plant app. Before I had no idea what to do with a plant or when to water it, when to mist it, when to fertilize it. And it just was too overwhelming. But with the plant app, it was very simple. Like that day when I was going around misting and watering and fertilizing different plants, it only took me like 10 minutes maybe. So, what the tool is going to do is not only clue you into what matters to each individual on your team, but give you quick actionable steps so that, daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on whether you're misting, watering, or fertilizing your
Yeah.
human, you're going to have, a step that you can take. You won't have to think about it. It's going to be geared to that person, and it'll be quick and actionable. So it's not like you're spending hours studying their personality or figuring out what makes them tick and how to make them happy. You're just going to have those quick actionable steps that are going to do the human equivalents of those things: water, mist, fertilize.
Sure. Yeah, no, I love that. So if we move on to the right hand side of your Nobody post, talking about the idea, you're saying that there's obviously knowledge, your background on behavioral science, looking at personalities. How would the app take all of those different attributes to kind of be a little bit more personalized when you're interacting with it? Have you sort of thought about that yet?
Yes. Well, what happens is when a leader signs up for the app, they will upload perhaps a picture of each individual on their team. If the team member doesn't already know their values, strengths, and personality types, they can take the quiz, and then that information will come in. And so from there, knowing who the individual is from the app standpoint, then that's where each day they'll get their to-dos of, mist this human today, or, water this human, or fertilize, which is opportunities for growth for this human. So it's almost like a compassion and empathy to-do list of how to care for your employees on a regular basis. So you don't have to think of, oh, what am I going to do today to show this person, I'm here for them, or I care about them, or I appreciate who they are. It's kind of laid out for them. And it really feeds in extremely nice with, performance reviews, because you can see all along the way how they're growing and thriving.
Yeah, no, I love it. And if there's a way, just kind of riffing on the idea, that there's a history of all of that conversation that you can also have, then that's a good kind of list to kind of say, okay, right, when you are doing reviews and things like that, you can actually say, well, here's the interactions we've had, etc. And there's good as well, right, like a bit of a journal for yourself. I think Edward's got this spot on. It is kind of people centric. This is what we're kind of looking for, right?
And to me, that's part of my passion for design thinking. It is human centered. We start with the human, their needs in mind from the beginning to the end. And I think that's the same for leadership. That's how we create a high performing team.
Yeah. For people who are listening in, if you've got any stories and experiences of where you think this might have been particularly helpful for, looking after your teams, please do share. I love to kind of keep the flow of the comments coming through. I think we should bring this to life a little bit, Karen, because you did you outdid yourself yet again with a wonderful video.
Sure.
So
And when we come back, if there's time and there's not a question, I want to talk about change management and how this can help affect it.
yeah, sure. We can do that now, or would you prefer us to?
No, we'll save it in case some other questions come in.
Yeah, sure. Okay, right. So let's jump in and let's watch the awesome video that Karen submitted to the IdeaLab. Here we go.
There are many species of plants.
I'm going to start that from the start.
Nature is beautiful. There are many species of plants, each with unique requirements of moisture, water, fertilizer, and sunlight. When a plant species receives its unique requirements, it grows, produces, and flourishes. When each plant flourishes, all of nature becomes cohesive, harmonious, and vibrant. When plants don't get what they require, they decline, shrivel, and fade away, negatively affecting their environment. Humans are also a part of nature. We have unique requirements to grow, produce, and flourish. There is a unique thirst in our soul, a fertile ground where we grow, and the ideal amount of exposure. When these requirements are met, there is cohesiveness, harmony, and vibrance within ourselves and our environment. Botanists, biologists, and ecosystem scientists provide insights into how individuals can create a thriving garden. Great apps like Planta allow even a novice to succeed. Now there is an app that does the same for humans. Let me introduce you to the Cultivate app, the revolutionary app that helps today's leaders enliven the individual and elevate the team. The Cultivate app takes the latest insights from psychologists, anthropologists, and behavioral scientists on what makes humans thrive and makes them usable and actionable for today's leaders. Just like with plants, leaders learn the individual requirements for their humans to grow, produce, and flourish. In less than 5 minutes a day, leaders complete tasks based on each team member's personality type, values, and strengths. Creating an elevated work environment, an experience where everyone is operating at their highest potential. Download the app and start cultivating your team today.
Amazing. I really like that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I had fun creating that
one. And obviously now you're a guru with using some of these AI tools as well. Did this one sort of take a little bit less time, or obviously there's a little bit more content than the previous one? How are you kind of finding the all of these wonderful tools?
You know, I do a lot of changes. You know, their recommendations. Well, first of all, they have, you know, a set of themes, and really the only theme that pertains to what I'm doing is AI and technology. So the video snippets that they give you are very technical in degree. So I have to play around with that a lot, but it makes it much simpler than if I were to start from scratch, because obviously I'm not a video producer. So to start from scratch, it would take me days or weeks, but at least getting the structure of it and how much the timing of it, it's a very useful tool.
Yeah. No, it's certainly my feedback was, you know, seeing the idea had a general gist of it, but then obviously the video just really brings it to life, and particularly kind of very practical with the, you know, 5 minutes a day, you know, here's your task list to kind of look at each individual and see what you're going to do to kind of help each individual. Kind of brings it to life, definitely. Yeah.
It really doesn't have to take a lot of time. It's just getting that knowledge in the hands of the leaders that gives them the power to make a difference in small amounts of their time.
Yeah. Okay. You said you wanted to come back and focus a little bit more on a particular topic as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Cultivate app is really going to give you tasks for each individual, but as you begin to learn about each individual, you'll also get a bigger picture view of how they fit together. Say, for instance, with Enneagram, there's 9 personality types, and you have a 2, which is very, they're very caring and nurturing, but they also have a lot of focus on in their thought processes on the past. And so when you're dealing with change, that could come across as a negative. But in fact, a couple of good things about being in the past in a mindset is, one, they understand the lessons that have been learned in the past.
Sure. Yes.
And then the second thing is they know what is going to make people feel safe and secure while this change is happening. Where, say, in Enneagram 5, they're very innovative, they're very future driven, they're almost pie in the sky idealists. And so if you don't know that about the two individuals, you can have a source of conflict there, or you could isolate one or the other depending on, as a leader, which one you're drawn to more. But when you know that about them, you can actually bring them together to make change in your organization more cohesive, more fluid, more supportive, because you have the person that can help you bring the lessons from the past into the future, the one that can help employees feel safe and secure as they navigate the change. And then you have the one that's all gung-ho about change and ideas and creating a better future, doing what their strong suit is as well. So it really doesn't only just help the individuals thrive, it can help the team thrive together when you know what role each player plays. And it keeps you from giving out assignments to individuals that maybe it's not the best fit for them.
I see that all the time. And it's like, oh, they're not doing very well, but you're not really playing to their strengths, right?
Yeah, I think it was Albert Einstein that said if we thought if we told a fish to climb a tree, we would think he's a failure. And that's what happens as leaders. We think we give a job to one person and we think they're a failure because they didn't do well at it. When in fact, if we'd have known more about their strengths, their personality types, we were trying to get a fish to climb a tree, basically.
Yes, not going to happen. Yeah. Again, one of the areas I think, just as you were talking, I thought this will be super powerful. So many companies say, oh yeah, we're all about the culture, we're about people, etc. And then it's just the same old things and nothing really changes. Imagine if they had, your app on day one when they joined the organization and said, okay, right, this is something we've got in place to kind of help you connect with your leadership and, etc. Not only day one, but throughout their sort of career, but also being an analytics person, like you said, it'd be really interesting to say, well, which ones are the successful, senior managers, and looking at their traits and how they're managing their teams and the learning you could do there, and then sort of, coach other people perhaps who aren't having as great results. There's a kind of a whole slew of different things you could do.
Oh, yeah. In fact, part of, the onboarding on the app would include the leader's personality type and strengths. So, you may think initially, I don't really like that person, when in fact, it's just a personality disconnect. And when you see them more as not someone that's opposing you, but someone that's complimenting you, then you can see where you can draw on them to, help your own blind spots as a leader. And you theirs as well. So it's really eye-opening for leaders to begin to not only look at themselves, but look at each member on their team.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing how this continues to develop into, the next stages as well. So the next stage, for people who aren't familiar with our ideation process at Nobody Studios, is the first is the front page, the Nobody post, then a video like the one Karen's just done, and then we're going to explore in a future live stream around the hatch deck, so hatching the idea, and going into more of that detail, like the question we had previously around how is this different to the competitors, etc. So that'll be forthcoming in a future live stream. But as ever, Karen, thank you so much for bringing your idea to life.
Well, thank you,
and thank you to the audience for your great questions. And if you're interested in submitting your idea, getting involved with Nobody Studios, please head up. We're doing a crowdfund at the moment. It's going great guns. We've got over 650 investors now. So the dream of having the Nobodies we're across 40 different countries already, and we continue to grow. So we're going till the April the 7th now with our crowdfunding. Let's see if we can get to that 1,000th investor. That would be amazing. Just head to republic.com/Nobody Studios and come and join the journey with us, be that your capital, your influence, or your talent. And as Karen's done, all three. So
Yeah.
thank you again, Karen.
Thank you so much, man. It's a pleasure.
See you for the next one.
Yes, can't wait.
Bye, everyone.